Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin.
I'm Josh.
I'm Christian.
I'm Star.
And we are back at Kashyyyk. We went back to Kashyyyk. I've been waiting for this episode with Gunji, and I'm so thrilled and just really happy how it turned out. And then we also need to talk about the tragic news of Jedi Survivor being delayed. Very, very sad. But
it's not that long. It could have been like they could have done like a Halo thing with it and been like 1 year.
Yeah, but at this point, why not just have it come out on May 4th? Like it's 1 week
delayed even
May
longer.
4th.
You want?
Well, I mean, at this point, I would just move it over to the actual holiday. I mean, like it just makes sense to me. But yeah,
Isn't the new release date coinciding with the very end of Celebration London?
no, because Celebration starts on the 7th and gets done. On
it's earlier in April, right?
Yeah.
Brain tired.
No worries. But this week, for the Bad Batch, the episode is called Tribe. How do we like it?
Initial
How do we love it?
thoughts on the episode before we start breaking it down.
I mean, I can sum up my thoughts with it. I was really happy with it. It was good. I was happy.
It's my second favorite episode in season 2, so I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Sad that we didn't get to see the best public commando that is somewhere in those woods. Sev's just waiting to be found, and I'm sad that we didn't see him, but it was still a great episode and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that we were talking about right before we started recording was the clone rebellion it has to be around the corner. It's got to be happening because I have a feeling that by the end of the season that the Empire is going to do something to fully phase out the clones. I don't know if they'll execute Order 66 on the clones or something like that, and then all the clones will do a rise up or something like that. But I got a feeling that that all of them will end up being pushed out. I don't think it's going to be a happy retirement. I think it's going to be a very sad couple of episodes.
But there's like a Order 67 where it like deletes their it's like a brain chip that shuts it off or like explodes or something in their helmets.
Like the first Kingsman movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like that. I wouldn't doubt they're going to do something like
your
that.
face, you're like, no.
And it's like a race against time to try and like get these like clones to not like die.
Well, we have 80s synth pop playing in the background.
Beautiful.
They're like, hey, Max Rebo, hit it. And then it's just like, oh, shit.
Hit it. Colorful explosions.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
All right. So
right.
Starting off with the episode, we have the Bad Batch traveling to a little trade outpost. It's run by droids, and they're in there to trade some counterfeit chain codes created by tech. So what did you think of this opening, guys, or anything fun for this opening? I liked seeing that ship. It's gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely reminded me of the one from The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The droids reminded me
L3.
Yes. And I thought it was interesting that they have their own smuggling operation. And it kind of goes back to the line of where Obi-Wan was like in Attack of the Clones, where he said, if droids could think, we wouldn't be here, would we? And you're seeing a lot of more free thinking with droids a lot lately. And I'm really curious of if the droids were just kind of running the smuggling operation or they were answering to someone.
Well, I mean, we have the IG units that have their own kind of thing. So...
Right, but the IG units always feel like they're tied to some sort of central guild computer, whereas like these ones felt very autonomous and kind of like, but they're droids. We don't see autonomous droids doing just their own thing. They're always headed back somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But maybe it's a case where it's like, it's one tiny little, like, Babu Frick style alien who's controlling this giant
Right.
droid syndicate
Right.
who's just like, they're his muscle.
That's fair.
That's the counterfeit chain codes. I was kind of like, okay, the last time we saw counterfeit chain codes was for Sue and Cut the Queen.
In episode 2 of season
Episode
1?
2,
Yeah.
episode 3.
3, yeah.
And then after that, I'm kind of like, well, the only other reason why you'd want counterfeit ones were either you're helping more clones or someone needs to falsify someone's identity.
Mm-hmm.
They seem shady enough to where it was falsifying some identities.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
It was a full-on...
If they're smuggling, I can see where they're trying to get people out.
Yeah.
Real sneaky like, yeah.
And I mean, then Omega has her little, like, I got a bad feeling about this kind of that thing. So I was like,
Classic Star Wars.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think they're just hinting more that she's force sensitive. It's just, they just like dangle this in front of us. Like,
No.
I don't think they do that because one of the things that I think it's in Legends originally that the Kaminoans were tasked to like clone Jedi and they just could never figure it out.
Yeah.
mhm.
And I feel like it's the kind of thing where we're not going to see it until later in the timeline in the Mandalorian era. So,
Yeah, but I feel like we're at this point where just one single line has completely just like everyone in the Star Wars universe is just trying to explain how Palpatine returns. And I feel like everyone's just playing this like catch-up game to try and explain it.
But I don't know. I'm not here to talk about the sequel trilogy. Colin already has my thoughts on that. I'm here to talk Bad Batch.
All right, so continuing with the episode, Omega ends up going off from the ship. She ends up finding a Wookiee, and it is a familiar Wookiee. Ends up being Gunji. So I thought it was interesting that they have Gunji as a prisoner. I'm not sure why. And I don't know if they know that he's fully a Jedi or anything, because I mean his lightsaber is there, but it's interesting that they wouldn't have like more of a security force on him.
I mean, I interpreted it as like they found him as a stowaway
Mhm.
on a ship, and then they found him and brought him into custody to sell him off.
Yeah, that would make sense, because I mean he basically explains that he's trying to get back to Kashyyyk. So, I mean,
Well-
yeah, he's probably been traveling for years at this point, or a long time at this point.
Mm-hmm. At least from Order 66 to now.
Yeah.
However long that is.
Well, and like we know that regardless of whether they know he's a Jedi or
I think you cut out just a tiny bit. Could you say that one more time?
did I? Oh no. No. I said regardless of whether they know he's a Jedi or not, there's definitely a market for Wookiees. So I think, regardless, makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on seeing Gunji again, Colin?
I thought it was very interesting off the bat that Mega felt like something was off, which that again hints at her being force sensitive, which I think we'll get a full out confirmation that she is this season. I know a lot of people don't want that. I just got a feeling that it's hinted towards it though. And
we got to play catch up. All of Star Wars has to play catch up for one line. All right.
Yeah.
Alternative to full force sensitivity, maybe she's got the kind of Chirrut Imwe kind of like gets the general sense of what's happening, but can't actually manipulate or use the force.
Or
Okay.
maybe she's just good at hearing.
That too.
Because it is interesting
He's not
that
quiet.
the droids end up saying like, hey, like he's worth far more alive to our buyer, which makes me think like more about this. Like they know he's at least something special. Like I wonder.
Well, that and that they had his lightsaber. I mean, I would kind of figure that that they weren't that dumb, and they kind of put 2 and 2 together. But I saw a lot of in this episode in particular. you just had, I mean, I don't know. I had the vibe of that. Oh, Omega was, you know, she's not full out force sensitive right now. And I think she's on the same path as Finn, where like she's slowly starting to, maybe, kind of go down that same path of where she's slowly starting to learn that, she has some type of force, some connection to the force. And I feel that we'll find out this season, especially with the Emperor, coming in at some point. It just makes sense to me that that she would have some tie into the force, because you also have all those scenes from season 1 of where she says certain things and she picks up on things super quick that that have the where she has similar traits to a force user, and especially the talks that she has with Crosshair, like all those signs kind of point towards it being force sensitive, and this episode kind of helped that theory, in my opinion. But yeah.
So continuing on with the episode, they end up basically planning a full-on escape. They get out into the ship, and Gunji is pretty hesitant to talk to any of these clones.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I enjoyed having that element there. But yeah, so they end up talking to him. Omega bonds with him a little bit by feeding him, because Wookiees' hearts are their stomachs. So
Yeah. I feel like that goes for a lot of like characters that are very quiet in Star Wars. The easiest way to get like close to them is by feeding them.
I think that's just true.
Yeah.
I mean
Certainly
that.
true about me.
Yeah, I mean that like I mean
For
that
me.
like that dates all the way back to Return of the Jedi. The whole point that they got captured was because Chewie saw a dead animal, and then they all got captured by the Ewoks because he was thinking with the stomach. But, yeah. Well, yeah.
So they end up taking him to Kashyyyk. On their way through Kashyyyk, they come up across a whole bunch of spider webs, and basically these creatures end up coming down, and they end up the Bad Batch ends up basically about to attack them, and Gunji basically explains like, "Hey, as long as we don't pose a threat, we'll be okay."
That awoke so many Knights of the Old Republic memories for me, because those looked almost identical to the Kinrath spiders.
I believe they are.
Yeah, there's a few minor differences, like the eyes are a little different, but that's it. That was like spot on. I was like, oh.
And something else that we talked about was that like before we started recording also was there was the canceled arc from the Clone Wars from of what was gonna happen before Disney got the rights to Lucasfilm, and they actually had this whole arc where Yoda would meet up with the Bad Batch on Kashyyyk, and that would explain how Yoda had good relations with the Wookiees.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what they were referring to when I believe Hunter or Wrecker said, "Oh, like we haven't been in Kashyyyk in a long time," and I think that's the mission that he was referring to. I also enjoyed the score. I loved as they were like kind of coming in to the planet. You got that tribal type score.
The title of the episode.
Yes.
What?
Crazy. And I love Kashyyyk. I loved exploring it in Jedi Survivor. I mean, in Jedi Fallen Order, and getting more in depth with the Wookiees and the planet and the culture of the Wookiees was just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Wookiees are one of those species in Star Wars that we have so little background on, like canon-wise, that every time we get some more of it, it's like, ooh, what?
Right.
They're all old. Like Chewbacca's 200 plus years old when we meet him in Solo?
Mhm.
I mean, if you really want more Wookiees, just go watch the holiday special, man. Like there are like 9-minute, scenes of where they're like of just talking and no subtitles, and you're just like, all right, cool.
All right, cool. I guess we're just gonna nod and smile away.
Yeah. Yeah. How did we like the fact that Gunji was mainly he's definitely grown up a lot since we last saw him. And I'm not sure if we already talked about it, but do we think Gunji was on Coruscant during Order 66, or do we think he was somewhere else?
He never became a Jedi, right?
Well,
So
Yeah.
we know that all the younglings that were present in the temple, for the most part, were gunned down or cut down by Anakin. But it's not unbelievable that a few would manage to escape, because we see that in Fallen Order and flashbacks.
Mhm.
So it's maybe he was out on a mission with the other younglings, like a training mission. Maybe it was he managed to escape, and that's why he got caught by the droids, because he was smuggling his way back to Kashyyyk.
I also feel like because we've spoken, like it's been spoken in Star Wars of like how rare it is to have a Wookiee as a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would be easier for him to blend into society comparatively to anyone else who there's a lot of reasons that Wookiees can be used and wanted for, but I don't think it's normally like for a Jedi purpose. Whereas like other characters, you're like, oh, they did one weird thing and then boom, it's like instantly like, yeah, that's a Jedi, all right. But this, like, for Wookiee wise, I'm kind of like, it's so rare that I don't know how much they would be like looking for him, besides like more pelt reasons, more like enslavement reasons. Like it's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was also kind of shocked and it also makes sense that after the battle, the two clones that find the lightsaber marks and then the main Trandoshan guy's like, no, don't call the Empire until we actually like hunt them down. Like, and I thought it was really interesting to see the clones take orders from them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was more of a partnership, and it sounded like they were more in charge than the actual Empire was. But, yeah.
It felt very much like the Empire brought in the Trandoshans as like a hunting group and placed them at the top of like a squad.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of how they did that in Andor, with like having a separate group that are hired by the Empire to do different things. So it's interesting seeing that, and then because of the cause of this episode, I believe that's when we get that full out invasion for Fallen Order.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Well, I think it makes sense, honestly, if you're the Empire, to hire out the Trandoshans, because they've already been slaving there for years. They have a long history. They probably have maps. They probably have contacts. They probably have routes they know where to go. And so it makes sense if you're the Empire to show up and be like, yo, these people already know the game.
Yeah.
They hate each other already.
Trandoshans are historically very anti-Wookiee.
Yeah.
If Hunter was here right now, I know Hunter would be, going full out defense mode, being like, not all of them are bad, some of them are good, and it's because because Hunter hangs out with Bosk, so yeah. But yeah,
okay, I'll give Hunter this. Maybe Bosk does bake Christmas cookies and wear Christmas sweaters and is adorable.
Sure.
But the rest of all the other media examples we have are really
That's
sketchy.
canon for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, as you had said before, where it's like, yeah, the only really okay one we've seen is Sid, but they keep on being like, nah.
Maybe not.
He's sketch, yeah.
Well, there's also the Trandoshan pilot from the game Squadrons. I can't think of their name,
right.
but yeah. But I also loved the fact that they mainly the main elder of when they go back to the home homestead area for the Wookiees. At first, I thought they said that the main tribal leader was Mala, and that's the name of Chewie's wife from the holiday special, and now that's canon. And I was like, wait, what? That's a huge name drop, but they said Kala, and I was like, oh, okay.
That'd been pretty funny.
Yeah,
Close but no banana.
right. And I loved how they use the trees as communication, and that they are it's a big part of their of their whole way that they do things on the planet and how important it is to them. I just loved how environmental this episode was for the Wookiees, and I just love how we got more info about their culture and everything, because they're such an interesting people, and the fact that we first found out about Wookiees all the way back in 1977, and we're still getting fun facts about them today is just awesome to me. Yeah.
Yes. So continuing on with the episode, we do have the Trandoshans. They are burning those Wookiee totems, and Gunji ends up running out to try and defend them. And then the Bad Batch ends up going in as well, and they are full on using proper blasters, completely going ham, taking out as many people as possible. And then they end up taking them all out after they had burned some of the land. And then other Wookiees end up showing up on. Have we seen these creatures before? I don't know. It's like
so.
Giant-eared lion monkeys. Yes.
It looks great.
Yeah, they were fun.
Yeah.
I really liked how realistic they had this episode, where they're like, oh no, the fire will spread. We're going to have to use shovels and put it out.
Yeah.
And it was just like such a realistic touch of being like, normally you have like explosions in shows, and then it's like, oh, it's fine. That won't spread.
It was just a fireball. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. There's nothing flammable around. So I really liked that like small piece of being like, no, they got to use their shovels and put this out.
It was also really weird seeing the Imperial cog on the side of droid tanks. That was weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
That threw me off. I was like, that's not right. Because they said Imperial tanks, and I was like, those are not Imperial tanks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
for the giant monkey creatures, those are also from the deleted arc from what we were supposed to get. Yeah. So they just carried that over because there is definitely a bunch of it's not fully animated like clips, but there were a bunch of those unanimated clips that show Wrecker actually riding one and stuff like that, and the stuff that got canceled. But yeah.
Continuing on with the episode, the friendly Wookiees end up bringing them back to their little outpost tribe that they have. And yeah, they do the little head thing that all Wookiees do when Gunji meets the Elder. So I thought that was fun. I was like, I haven't seen that in a while.
The forehead touch.
So continuing on with the episode, they end up having the leader of the Trandoshans. They end up meeting up with some other clone troopers. And yeah, they realize that, we're dealing with a full-on Jedi here. So they really want to get more Imperials involved. But the challenge is presented to the leader of the Trandoshans, and he's like, let me get him. I'll go get him. 100 pelts to any of the people that bring me that Wookiee. I was like, that's cool.
It reminded me a lot of the Clone Wars arc, where Ahsoka got kidnapped and was being hunted.
Yeah.
Because, they were talking about the greatest prize being hunting a Jedi youngling, or like a Jedi as a whole. So not only is it a Jedi, it's also a Wookiee Jedi. And for them, that's the best of both worlds.
That was also it was kind of a big deal for the Wookiees as well, because it was very rare for a Wookiee to be Force sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
The only other Wookiee in existence to be a Jedi was, so far in canon, is the one from the High Republic series. But I was low-key hoping that when they were kind of worried about like about there being a Jedi and everything, I was kind of hoping that maybe we would get a Force Unleashed Easter egg type thing of where maybe Vader would, like, you know, they would end up calling Vader or something, because the opening scene for Force Unleashed is Vader going to Kashyyyk and hunting down a Jedi. So I thought that would have been really cool. But that was just a pipe dream. But
yeah. Continuing on with the episode, we cut back to the little tribe that we have of Wookiees. They're scrounging around, eating food or the soup that they have. And one of the major points that they end up having is they go out to the tree and they place their hands on them, and it's they start basically praying or with the tree or connecting to the life force of the planet of Kashyyyk through the trees, asking for their help. And I did like how this is like a first time for Gunji because he was taken at such a young age. So I liked how he like looks over. He's like, "Oh, this is what I need to do," and then like, "Oh, that feels right." I'm like, "That's cool." I really enjoyed that.
I'm not sure it was soup. A part of me is convinced it was a fermented beverage.
I
for
agree.
The Wookiees.
Yeah, that's
Just
what
with
I
how
thought.
happy Wrecker was to drink it. And because Echo takes a sniff of it, he's like, "Ooh," but Wrecker's like, "More for me, I guess."
yeah, and he just takes the
whole bowl.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, so continuing, they get told basically, yeah, we got a plan, and it's from the trees. So we cut back to clone troopers and the Trandoshans moving through, trying to locate him. And then we have a full-on little attack force coming out of the woodworks to take out all the clone forces and Trandoshans in their tanks. So what did you guys think of the battle scene?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I was convinced that the fire was going to be a little bit more of a big deal. Like, especially because they had done the shovels to put it out before, and then they're like, let's burn the forest. And then, like,
I don't know. I feel like there was some random cut there. Yeah,
there was a time jump.
Yeah, I felt like that as well.
They're like, it's getting too long of an episode, or we just need to just be like, all right, we explained it. Okay, yeah, the fire spreading. But
yeah, no, I loved it. I was holding out hope until the battle sequence. I was like, maybe they'll have reinforcements and Sev will show up to help them with some Wookiees. But alas, he did not. So, you know, but besides that, it was a great battle sequence. I really liked the evil Trandoshan, like, leader guy. I think they gave him a lot of really good evil points, like having the flamethrower and like the bad guy lines. He felt like such a classic, like, bad hunter, animal trapper person that you would see.
Yeah,
in,
I like his
almost an
design.
80s
He's got
movie. He just felt really, really spot on. I enjoyed him a lot.
He gave me a lot of the same vibes. I think it's from The Rescuers.
Oh yeah.
And the second one where they go to Australia.
Oh yeah, Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah, that hunter there gave me the exact same vibe.
Yes.
And it really felt like they took his lizard pet as a design inspiration for this. Because he doesn't look like the other Trandoshans. He's way more pointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also gave me the vibe of Clayton from Tarzan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just did a great job making him exactly copy and paste that bad guy. It was great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But alien.
Yeah, I liked his in like Gunji's little like fight where it ends up being like a ring of fire and little spider creatures come down and Gunji just kind of like turns off his lightsaber. He's like, I'm not gonna. We've already established these guys will attack, and yeah, his death is like pretty interesting. I was like, oh geez,
that's like a nightmare way to go. Wrapped in web by spiders, because spiders take a long time to eat their prey. So
yeah,
he's just like screaming the entire time.
He's like, no, and he's just slowly being like brought off camera. You're like, oh well, he's gone.
All right.
I have to continue and remind myself that like the show is a kid show, but then every once in a while it does stuff, and you're like, but is it though? It's super violent.
I mean, I think at this point, I really wouldn't consider any of the Dave Filoni like cartoon shows, kid shows, because
I agree.
because you have to think of all the war crimes that Chopper committed in Star Wars Rebels. You also have to think about all of the, I think it was season 2 or season 3 and the Clone Wars when it just got really
So
nuts
rough.
to where
halfway through season 2, there's just like a switch, and then it goes dark.
Yeah.
I just remember Asajj Ventress just stabbing a clone, kissing him on the cheek, and then he just drops dead. And I'm like, wow, all right, wow, that's crazy. So no, I loved how Gunji was all offensive at first with his lightsaber, but as he got to the planet, he got more in tune with the creatures and with the trees and with nature. So Gunji was about to full out fight the Trandoshians. The Sparty things, are like kind of turned towards him. He connects with them, and then the Spider's like, all right, cool. We're just gonna save him for lunch later, and then they just take him up and
it gave me a lot of Rebels vibes.
Yes,
that whole feeling. Yeah,
I think that Gunji also has a Force mutation, just like Ezra and Cal, to where if Cal would touch something, he would
Force echoes,
yes, Force echoes. He would be able to see old memories and everything. And then with Ezra, he had a very strong connection with
animals.
Yes, with animals, and I think Gunji has that as well.
Doesn't Quinlan Voss have that same Force touch, like precog?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a chance we might see him in season 3 of Mando, because he is one of the candidates that saved Grogu. But who knows?
Yeah, the only main criticism I would have for this episode is just, like Omega running back and then being like, "Oh no, the fire, it's spreading," and then it just goes nowhere. It's like
they didn't even give us the classic Star Wars transition to show time changing by doing the like zoom out to fade to black and then to the next scene.
Yeah, it was odd.
Yeah, and then we get like that really cool. I like the line at the end of where you have Omega and Gunji touching the tree, and they're like, "Yeah, I just wish that basically these guys can grow up in a world that isn't just absolutely war torn, because they never got to have like a childhood. They were just born into this." And I'm like, "That's cool. I like this line." Even though Omega's older than them, so
yeah. See, and I don't like that line. That bothers me, because it's like saying that the clones shouldn't have a childhood either, whereas Omega's older than them, and so they should have had a childhood as well. And so, I'm going to advocate for that as well.
I think that line also kind of states that the clones were specifically, they're like, their purpose of being made was for war, to fight the separatists and all that. But Omega was just, there, and she and her purpose was not war. So I think that's where it's coming from.
But
Please,
what
Star.
was her purpose then? Because like she's still made by the Kaminoans.
Yeah,
she's not like a child of Jango. Like Jango didn't order her made. So like,
no,
I contend that point.
Okay.
I think her original purpose was a backup genetic source just in case.
Yeah,
because they say that like it's a pure, like unaltered one besides being female.
Right. So she's the last because she's the last unaltered clone besides Alpha, also known as Boba. But yeah, so super cool. And then the episode, kind of goes back and fades to black. And they didn't leave the planet, which makes me think that the next episode will take place on Kashyyyk as well. And
so. Or at least
I believe
start there.
Right. And I think the next week is the mid-season finale. So that means we're getting
it's the double.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I have hope for next week.
Here's hoping. because I think a bunch of us are hoping to see Cody and Rex and everything next week. I think something big will
Sev.
happen.
And Sev, thank you.
And Sev, yes, and Sev.
Quick question, Star. If they bring Sev in,
Yes.
but they make Sev still an Imperial loyalist, how are you going to feel about it?
How would he be an Imperial loyalist being stranded on Kashyyyk, though?
I mean, you never know, though.
That's
Because
true.
clearly there's still an Imperial outpost out there because there are troopers running about.
That's true. I would still be happy
Yeah.
because he would exist and that would be cool.
It's canon. It's
Uh-huh.
canon.
It's canon.
Yeah, I wondered if the repercussions of this episode are going to lead into Fallen Order, or what the reason is that they basically, because they say the Trandoshans are there to strip the resources of the planet, and I was wondering if that is like what leads into the Fallen Order aspect of them absolutely invading the planet. So it's interesting for me. Because
Oh, go ahead.
Because I'm just wondering, because I think the opening is where you actually get in the AT-AT, and but yeah, if they have like all those kinds of forces on the planet, I'm wondering if it's because of Gungi being there, or they're figuring out that Gungi is there.
That would be cool.
Gungi being the chieftain they all rally behind would be a pretty incredible.
That'd be cool.
For
That'd be cool.
character.
I was not. I was surprised that we didn't see Tarful. There's a chance that we might see Tarful in the next one. I know there were a couple of the Wookiees there that were wearing very similar pauldrons to what Tarful wears, and we know that he plays a decently large role in the rebellion that's on Kashyyyk, and we know that Saw knows him, partners up with them, and plays a large role 5 years later after the events of Revenge of the Sith and everything. Yeah, there's always that chance that the reason why the Empire has a main has a large presence on Kashyyyk is because of Gungi, but I also think it's because Kashyyyk is kind of in the middle of the Outer Rim, and they might be mainly using that planet to do different trade routes and stuff like that for the Empire, and do different transporting stuff. But
I think it's the last Thrawn book where they talk about him finding a ship full of Wookiee slaves.
Yeah, and
that is the biggest resource that Kashyyyk has going for it, as far as we can tell, which is tragic. But it is the Empire used Wookiees for a slave force. Yeah, which is why I'm kind of like, why would you bring in the Trandoshans that love to hunt them? Because they're not enslaving them; they're hunting and skinning them.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong. Trandoshans also have been involved in slaving. Like they slaved a lot of the Wookiees as well, because they do skin them, but they also slave them.
Yeah,
at least they do in the Republic Commando game, which you can tell is my.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's also they opened up in the Clone Wars the idea of the Zygerians being the slave trade, like main hub as well. So maybe I wouldn't be surprised if we get that brought in at some point in a future series.
Yeah,
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one critique for that match. Why are the episodes so short?
I don't know.
Because we're getting syndicated with ads. Just give me 30 minutes.
I know.
Was it 16? 16 episodes?
16 episodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's interesting because how long were the episodes for the last project from the animation crew, which is Tales from the Jedi? Because those were even shorter.
Those were short. Those were like 10-ish minute episodes. Like if you don't factor in the however long the credits were.
Yeah. That also was a experimental series, because they didn't know how the public and the audience would, take it and everything. But honestly, I think one big reason why that we all loved it was because it was the Clone Wars animation style. That animation style is what really kicked off just everything with Dave Filoni, and I loved seeing that era of Star Wars in that animation, and I also loved. I think my biggest thing about the series finale of the Clone Wars was at the very end. You saw the stormtroopers and stormtroopers, snow troopers, probe droids, and then you see Vader, and that's in the Clone Wars animation style, and that's what I wanted Star Wars Rebels to be, and I'm just excited to see us get to that point with the Bad Batch. I think that's going to be great. I can't wait to see just a full out TK in the Clone Wars style animation.
It's coming
again. Yeah. Yep. But for next week, what are our main predictions for those 2 episodes?
Return of Cody in Crosshair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're gonna make our way back towards the core worlds, so Coruscant, or maybe heading our way back towards like big Republic garrison, like former Republic garrisons. Would not be surprised if we got Rex at the end of the first of the 2-part episode.
Yeah.
But then after that, I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it has something to do with Sid being shady. Like maybe Sid will turn them in, or maybe Sid will be part of the reason that there's something that goes wrong, because they've hinted that. I'm gonna predict that. And we know from the trailer that there's gonna be more commandos at some point. Sorry, I'm gonna keep bringing up commandos.
Oh yeah,
you can't stop me. But so I wouldn't. At some point, that'll happen. So
I mean, it really looks like the commandos are being used as like the main drill instructors for the incoming stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Because I think we saw Scorch in the trailer, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
I
know Star's excited, but Star, are you afraid that Sev and Scorch might have to fight each other?
That would be so tragic. And if they do, they'll both still exist, and that'll still make me happy.
well, they technically the whole squad of Delta Squad does exist, and they are canon because of that one episode in Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Witches of Dathomir, and they make an appearance returning the Jedi bodies after Savage takes over the temple.
Yeah, and that entire squad does show up. Now, I don't think it makes their story canon.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it true that Delta's canon, or is it that there's clone troopers that look like Delta Squad?
That is Delta Squad.
Delta Squad.
Yes.
It is. Okay.
There was a Clone Wars kind of encyclopedia book that came out after I believe after the Clone Wars came on Disney Plus and everything like that, and because they wanted to make people more well aware of the Clone Wars and everything that was a canon, and Delta Squad did appear in that, and they did say them by name.
Okay.
So,
I only say that because I remember last season they had said, like, when everyone was like, "Oh, it's Scorch," they were like, "Oh, it's a clone that
looks like Scorch." No, it is definitely Scorch.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah. So, Josh.
Future episodes currently I'm going to be interested on. I don't know how we're going to end this mid-season. It's going to be some giant cliffhanger of what I can think. Do we know how long of a break is it between the mid-season finale? Is it 1 week, or is it
I don't think they're gonna have any breaks.
Okay, they're not having a break? Okay, cool.
I think they're just hitting us with a double whammy.
Just a double episode? Because I was wondering if they're going to do 2 episodes and then miss 1 week and then continue it to 1 episode.
My guess is the reason why they did
to condense the timeline.
That, and I think they also didn't want the episodes to fall into the into Celebration. I think they wanted the show to be done by Celebration.
Fair.
And that also brings me to my theory about Jedi Survivor, because I have a couple of theories of why it did get delayed. Yes. But yeah, so yes. But yeah, no, I cannot wait until next week, because I got a feeling something big is gonna happen in next week's episodes. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, because clearly it's upsetting me. Jedi Survivor has been delayed till April 28th. I will read the statement. I was really, really, really sad by it, because March was supposed to be this. I mean, and it still is, but March
Banger
was,
Star Wars month.
yeah, like it was going to be crazy. It was going to be Survivor. It was going to be the rest of Bad Batch, Mandalorian, all at once. Now they took Survivor out, and Josh and I planned a whole weekend pretty much where we were going to game, and now it's falling into a week where I have a bunch of friends coming, so it's like time rushed. Can it happen? Can we accomplish it? The answer is yes. All nighter. Let's go.
You don't need sleep.
Yeah. But here's the statement. Before I read it, how do we feel about the delay of the
I
game?
would rather a delay than a big day one patch.
It's the Nintendo guys, like his statement that he always used to say. It's like a rush game, it's never good, but a delayed game has the ability to be good.
Yes.
So I mean, it's delayed, but again, as I said, like it's not forever. It's not like
It's 6 weeks.
that
It's
long
6
of a
weeks.
time. So it's interesting that they're doing that, and I'm like, how much can you accomplish with 6 weeks for this game is what I'm wondering. And I'm wondering what's really putting them back on. I wonder if it is just polish. I haven't read this. Did they say what the statement was or anything new? For
Yes. For the last 3 years, the Jedi team here at Respawn has poured its collective heart and soul into Star Wars Jedi Survivor. We are proud to say the next chapter in the tale of Cal Kestis is content complete. We are now focused entirely on the final stage, bug fixes to enhance performance, stability, polish, and most importantly, the player experience. Jedi Survivor is a direct response to the feedback from our community, delivering expansive destinations to explore, evolved combat and traversal, and of course, the continuation of Cal and BD1's story. Making this game has truly made us a better team, and we have pushed ourselves at every level to make this the Star Wars sequel our fans expect from Respawn and Lucasfilm Games. In order for the team to hit Respawn quality bar, provide the team the time they need, and achieve the level of polish our fans deserve, we have added 6 crucial weeks to our release schedule. Star Wars Survivor will now launch globally on April 28th. Thanks to EA and Respawn for giving us the time to deliver the best experience for our players, and to all of you for your understanding. May the Force be with you, Stig, and the Star Wars Jedi team.
Globally, April 8th.
Yes.
Hey, you could do the New Zealand trick. You could do it. We could do it. We could do it. 8 hours early.
Oh man. Okay, so my theory is that I think the game was on track. I think that that they wanted to kind of, because how big March was supposed to be for Star Wars. I don't know if they were like, because of all the shows coming out that might take attention away from the game. That's one of my theories. But I think the biggest theory was that they don't have that much content for Star Wars Celebration this year. And I'm thinking they wanted to do a full panel to where it's kind of getting more advertisement for the game. And that way, when people see the panel and everything and see more trailers and a whole panel for it, people will get more excited and there will be more pre-orders.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they didn't get to that mark. I mean, I would be so surprised because of the first game was phenomenal. And this game is already, is being said it's probably going to be one of the best Star Wars games of all time. Like, that's how much praise this game is already getting. What do you guys think about that theory? Because they said that like I think it was like a month or two back where they said they were on track, and then all of a sudden, it's like almost a month out, and then they're like not.
Hey man, if EA allows them to delay, I'm quite surprised. So I'm happy with that. Like as a company, I don't think they're normally one to be like, yeah, you could delay it, no problem.
Yeah, that's also a question of how much the mouse is leaning on them.
That's true. That's very true.
I think that there's going to be a Fallen, like a Jedi Survivor panel at Celebration, where they're going to show a bunch of stuff that they're going to have people like walking through the audiences, checking for cameras, confiscating stuff if they see it. And then
guess where Josh and I will be.
Yeah. Have
London, mate.
You guys ready for the panel lottery again?
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, dude.
He's starting
so
to
bad.
complain again.
Hey, I've been pretty good for like the past couple of past couple of months, but I ended up buying my because I bought
your
my showcase for Lucasfilm, and I'm glad I did, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have been at the premiere for Kenobi, and I would have been dying inside the entire time. So, but again, I shouldn't have had to do that. Camping is what made these conventions so much fun, and I hope they bring. I hope they don't do the lottery system for
I'm
really
okay with a lottery system for a certain amount of seats, and then the rest should be camp out, first come, first serve, over.
Yes, agreed. Because
like best seats are lottery, and then it's the stuff in the wings that are just, hey, if you can get in, you get in.
Yeah. Oof.
It'll be interesting if they bring Gunji's lightsaber to Galaxy's Edge.
I will get that in a heartbeat.
It's
I will
funny
get that in a heartbeat.
They haven't, because to me, they always do the votes on what lightsabers people want next.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me that wasn't on the last one. So it makes me think that they're just going to dedicate a full one to that and just bring it out there.
If it does, it will be the first Legacy saber I will ever buy, because
everyone loves his lightsaber.
It's so slick. It's wood.
It's wood.
Like it's a lightsaber and it's wood. It's like, that's awesome. So that honestly is probably one of my favorite hilts. I'm not even kidding, because I remember watching the episode of where Gunji actually built his lightsaber for the first time, and I'm like, that is cool. That wood is from Kashyyyk. Like, what? Like, that's a thing? I want that. So if they brought that to Galaxy's Edge, first in line. I would definitely buy that, because that's such a cool design, for sure.
Because I mean, we also got our new customizable parts in Savi's workshop.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all the new lightsaber designs that are coming out. I'm like, ooh, cool. I don't know if they allow you to buy the parts just on their own just yet again, because they originally did, but then they're like, oh, we have stock problems, but hopefully now you can, because those new parts look really cool.
Mm-hmm. Did you end up building a lightsaber?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't.
I really wanted to, and then I'm not an experienced Disney goer, so I didn't realize that you had to make reservations.
Yeah, those reservations are nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
do I remember my Disney announcements correctly that they're doing a price drop on the Savi's experience?
They did a price drop on the droids. I believe they are going to do one eventually on lightsabers as well.
They haven't said when, but almost every year on May 4th, they announce a new lightsaber that they bring to Galaxy's Edge. So we'll probably see of what that is. I'm kind of curious, because they're slowly running out of ideas of, of the exclusives. My money would be on Gunji. I think that would be a great one. I don't think it's even a pipe dream. I think that could definitely happen.
It's interesting that they always.
I think if they did Gunji, just like based on all the other sabers I've seen built out there, especially with really custom ones, you cannot get Gunji's silhouette with a removable like opening thing for batteries. You're gonna have to do a rechargeable battery in hilt.
Ooh.
Like it's gonna have to be that. You're not gonna be able to just make it a quick thing to slide batteries in and out of, because Gunji's saber tapers a lot on the not emitter end on the pommel.
I'm interested into seeing what they do because they keep dropping so many different things, but it's always a soft drop. Like no one knows about it until you go there and see it, except for the ones for like lightsabers that they bring out and they go, "This is a special edition one," and then they're like, "All right, special edition lightsaber, here we go." And then there's this new thing. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do with it.
I just know that the collector's box that comes with Anakin's and Obi-Wan's is it's like a Mustafar design on it. I would love to get that one. I think that would be a really, really cool.
Do you want both sabers or just the box?
Well, I want both sabers.
Okay.
But I mean, the box is cool. Like, don't get me wrong. They and they also just dropped Qui-Gon's lightsaber too a couple of months back for Tales of the Jedi, and that's just like a slick design because it's just like a giant flashlight.
Didn't they
but
also
it's a lightsaber?
Soft drop Plo Koon and Luminara?
Yeah.
They just showed up one day, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
And Asajj Ventress is from the book.
Yes.
As well, which is interesting because it looks like Darth Maul's piece as well. Like the second, like from season 7's Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It's like the same hilt. So I'm interested in seeing what it is, like if there's something there or not.
According to the person I talked to the last time I was at Galaxy's Edge, they are connectable.
Interesting. Yeah, that interesting. Yeah, seeing what they're bringing to Galaxy's Edge right now, I hope we're probably gonna get something at Celebration for new items or new experiences or new things. So it'll be interesting. I mean, hey, you just went to a meetup, didn't you, Colin? So
yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
you went to the Saber meetup?
Yes. And we first off, I learned from our mistake on May 4th, because when we went on May 4th, we got in line for the lightsaber meetup pretty late, and that line wrapped around the entire, like the entire land of Galaxy's Edge. And our group was like, do we have to get there an hour early? And I'm like, yes. Like maybe even earlier than that. So we got there, and I'm glad that we got there when we did, because we were the first. We were in the first 100 people that did, and it was specifically for Ahsoka Tano Day, and it was celebrating which is crazy to think about, 15 years of Ahsoka Tano. Like, how crazy is that?
Very.
Yeah. And not only was it great to celebrate Ahsoka Tano Day, but actually Eckstein herself was there. Ahsoka was there, and that is my wife's favorite character as well. So I made it my mission for us to be there, and we got there. We lined up. We took a group picture. She came out, and then they kind of moved people towards the back, and I had to work early the next day, so I was going to see if we could try and take a selfie with her, and she had her kind of group, and people would come up and take pictures with her and do a quick selfie, and then they would kind of push them back politely so then she could get in for the next shot. So I told Brooke to follow me, all right,
please.
I'm like, just stick with me, do what I do. And she was like, okay. So,
hold on to my belt.
Right. So we were heading for the exit, and then as we were heading towards the exit, because I had to work early the next day, she was walking towards us, and I was like, Brooke, just follow me. I said hi, and I think she low key recognized us because we saw her over Barnes and Noble, and then I was wearing my stuff from the Star Stuff podcast, and we gave her merch, and she was like, "Oh yeah!" So we took a quick selfie, and then as soon as I did, everyone else tried to, and then like we just bolted out of there, and
Everybody run!
yeah. But that was so cool.
Did you like the panel releases for who's coming to Celebration?
Yes, because you
Special
have the
guests.
holy trinity of the Clone Wars. You have James Arnold Taylor, Matt Lanter, and Ashley Eckstein will be there. And they'll also be at Motor City Comic Con in Michigan as well. But it's awesome to see that they're going to be in London. They also have the actor who played Galen Erso, Wedge Antilles.
It's funny
Please
that Mads
back off.
Mikkelsen is coming. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I'm not surprised that there's going to be a lot of the London-based actors there, because the convention's taking place in London. So it's like, oh, great, cool. But I know that they're definitely going to announce more, and I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't announce that Pedro Pascal was going to be signing. Because at that point, what, March 1st, April, I think we'll be halfway through The Mandalorian at that point, right? Because if it happens April 7th through the 10th, and I think we'll be March 1st. Yeah, so we'll almost be done with season 3 of Mando, or yeah. But yeah, so I am super excited for Celebration. And then it sounds like next year all the rumors point towards Celebration being back in Orlando. Now
Pog.
right. It's like, oh, okay. Now when it comes back to Orlando, is that something you guys would go to? I know the answer for Josh is yes, because it's
gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can afford it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more affordable than anyone from the US trying to go to London.
Oh yeah, but like
Well,
I'm just kind of 2024 is my so far my busiest year in traveling wise. So
I think we got lucky on our plane tickets,
Yes.
bro. Like we got really lucky.
can I ask what you guys paid round trip wise, roughly? Okay.
500.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
In
I mean,
comparison to
dude.
what like most people pay for an international flight to a big city, like it's
that
insane.
was cheaper than me flying to California. Like that was a lot cheaper, bro.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a
So
reason why Star drove for
Yeah.
Celebration.
There is. It's that.
I didn't know you drove. Dang.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
you
drove.
and Cap.
Yeah,
Well,
we road tripped.
that makes sense. Wow. Shoot. Yeah. No. We
That's what, a day and a half at minimum driving.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's 38 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But
That's
we
what
also-
I mapped out last time. I mapped out going to Michigan.
Yeah.
By
Wait,
car.
have you driven to Michigan from California?
No, I always tease Hunter with coming out, but I'm kind of like, I can't do 38 hours by myself in a car.
It's fun. Do it.
Yeah, but I'm the only one that drives Star. So it'll be
Star
me for
Wars,
36
please.
hours.
yeah.
That's a lot of podcast episodes, all right.
Yes.
On
Exactly.
tonight's live stream, Christian goes slowly insane while driving to Michigan.
I have made that drive from Michigan to Florida at least almost 10 times now.
Yeah.
And the only thing that keeps me going is Star Wars, of course. It's Star Wars phone calls and podcasts. That's the only way that I can get through long drives like that. But I remember driving down for Star Wars Celebration 2017 and the hype of getting to possibly be in the same room as George Lucas was like the main thing that was keeping me awake. And then sure enough, him, John Williams, and Harrison Ford all showed up for the 40th anniversary panel. And I was like, that 19-hour drive was so worth it. So yeah.
Yeah. It's audiobooks for me. I've driven out to LA, I think 10 times now. And it's audiobooks. They're the best.
Whoa.
How many When was the last time you drove to LA then? Was it Celebration?
Celebration. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
I don't suppose you're coming to WonderCon, are you?
No, I wish.
Okay.
Oh man.
I've
Yeah.
been trying to harass as many people as I know to come down to WonderCon.
I really want to come. It's just the middle of the semester.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, you have not harassed me about going to.
Well, are you gonna fly out to Anaheim again? Or do you wanna
Dude,
drive
I
cross-country?
can't, man. I'm busy, but
Because I mean, if you want to come, we can make some room in the hotel room.
When is WonderCon?
It's the last weekend of March, if I remember correctly. The last full weekend.
Oh, dude, no, there's no way.
Yeah, 24th, 25th, 26th of March.
And then isn't C2E2 happening like the week after?
Is it? Or is it
Yeah.
further back in the summer?
No, it's unless it got switched. It's in March. I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I remember that my first C2E2, my only C2E2, was the December one, which everyone was kind of like, this was weird, but it felt right for C2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that conventions are back because I just remember during the pandemic, I was just slowly dying inside where I was like, there's supposed to be Motor City Comic Con. It was supposed to be Star Wars Celebration. And I was like, and it's not happening. I'm stuck in the house and I can't do anything. So, yeah.
So, Celebration 2020 was supposed to be my first big convention, and then pandemic happened, and then my first big convention was Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Which is a party.
Yes, it is. And that was also the first time that I met you.
That's when we met. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when
then,
Hunter was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Colin, I have this friend Christian. I only really know him through the internet, but we've met a couple times. He's really chill."
Yeah. And we just hit it off because of that con. If you guys haven't gone, go. But Dragon Con is just this giant convention where it's costumes, partying, and drinking. That's the entire con, and it's so much fun.
Hotels and
Yeah.
just nonstop booze.
And it is downtown Atlanta, and it's the main hotel. I believe it's the Marriott. Is where
Marriott's the middle.
Yeah. They filmed a bunch of stuff there, and they recently filmed the show Loki there. So all of the stuff for the TVA was like was filmed there. So super, super cool. And then I think I met you the first time at Grand Rapids Comic Con 2021. 2021. Yep.
Yeah. Because I didn't start cosplaying until 2021.
Oh, okay.
So I hadn't been to con. Like I went to some small cons, but I hadn't been to like big ones. So I didn't understand when everyone was like, "Oh, it's so weird because of the pandemic." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's totally weird.
I didn't have my Anakin back then, but I just remember having a speaker and we were playing the theme for the Bad Batch, and I would just follow right behind you guys. So it was super, super fun. But yeah, no, it's really crazy to think about like how Celebration and these different conventions bring people together, and they definitely make friendships that last a lifetime, and it's so cool. So if you guys have never been to a convention, Star Wars Celebration, go. You will not regret it. It honestly is life-changing. So yeah, you go. That was really it for this week for news. For next week, we have our 2-episode mid-series finale. I mean, mid-season, not series. Mid-season finale of the Bad Batch, and then hopefully we get more news about the Mandalorian. We'll probably get more name drops for Star Wars Celebration, and they should be announcing some of the panels for Celebration soon. So, from myself and from the rest of the team, thank you so much for listening. We're on Instagram at Star Wars Stuff Podcast, Twitter at Stuff Pod. We're also on Patreon. Please go check us out at Stuff Podcast 2187. Please go follow my wonderful friends, J Guy Hunter Canobing around and Star Spangled Comment. Wonderful people. They have they do so much for the costume community, and they just, you know, bring so much joy to people. So please go check them out. Once again, from everyone from the Star Stuff podcast, may the force be with you always.